זמרו לאדוני בכינור, בכינור, בקול זמרה. 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 זמרו לאדוני בכינור, בכינור, בקול זמרה.
Shabbat Shalom, everybody. I'm Rabbi Jessica Zimmerman Graf, together with Cantor, Toby, Glaser, and Rabbi Phelps, who is out there somewhere. I can't see you at this moment, but I know you're there. I just talked to you. We welcome you to Congregation Shereth Israel virtually, and a little bit, I guess, in person, because Cantor, Glaser, and Peter Bonos are in our sanctuary tonight. So I just want to invite everybody to take a deep breath. We were all hoping by this moment that there would be a lot less anxiety and calmness, and yet sometimes democracy takes time, I guess. So let's leave all the anxiety of this week and even the excited hopefulness just behind as we come into a space of peace and deep breaths and community. And we just take an hour off of refreshing the news to get the most up-to-date count. So Shabbat Shalom. We will continue with a word from the president of our Board of Trustees, Lindsay Bronick.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone. I'm so thrilled to have everyone here and so thrilled to be able to be part of this service during a week that definitely needs some serenity and peace in it. So thank you to our clergy for creating this experience for us.
Yes, and in addition to this being a lovely opportunity for us to be together and for you to greet us as our president, it was also just your birthday yesterday, I understand, correct?
I was hoping for a really big birthday present from from the networks, but
that would have been a pretty good one.
Yeah. All right.
Will you introduce your 4 children who are there in various?
Yes, expanded to a family of 6. It's Toby, who's 10. This is Ike, who's 12. This is Baxter, who is 15 weeks. And this is Shira, who is 6.
Not the big, because now you got Baxter.
That's right.
We're only missing Daddy, who was walking.
Well, in honor of your, yes, and we send love to him out wherever he is. Exactly. And yes, in honor of your birthday, please do light those candles for us.
All right.
And would you prefer that you lead the blessing or we lead it?
You guys lead it, please. Thank you.
Okay. Go right ahead, Cantor. Thank you.
To lead our blessing this week, but he said he wasn't quite ready with the candle blessing, so maybe next time. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kirshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu להדליק נר, להדליק נר של שבת.
Thank you.
We continue by welcoming the angels of Shabbat to join us and to bring us a little bit of peace. So take a deep breath as we join together in Lecha Dodi.
Lecha Dodi לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה. שמור וזכור בדיבור אחד, ישמיענו אל המיוחד. אדוני אחד ושמו אחד, לשם ותפארת ולתהילה. לך דודי לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה. לקראת שבת לכו ונלכה, כי היא מקור הברכה. מראש מקדם נסוכה, סוף מעשה במחשבה תחילה. לך דודי לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת שבת כלה פני שבת נקבלה. התעוררי, התעוררי, כי באורך קומי אורי, 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 שידברי. כבוד אדוני אלייך נגלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה. We raise our intentions as we greet the Shabbat bride. בואי ושלום עטרת בעלה, גם בשמחה ובצהלה. תוך אמוני עם סגולה, בואי חלה, בואי חלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה.
We join together in words of Baruch Hu now. This part of our service allows us to say we're warmed up, we're here, we're fully present. So as you come into your own space for Shabbat and feel really ready to welcome some peace, please stand or raise your intentions as we join together in these words.
Yadai, yadai, dai, 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 yadai, dai, dai, dai. Baruchu et Adonai המבורך. ברוך אדוני המבורך לעולם ועד, לעולם ועד. ידי די די די, ידי די די די, ידי די די די.
As we breathe and practice patience, we are aware of the daily miracles of everything that happens in a slow and methodical and patient way in our bodies, the beating of our hearts and the blinking of our eyes and everything that allows us to be alive. We call out to God, recognizing the unity of all that God has created.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto, Leolam Va'ed. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך. והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אדוני אלוהיכם אמת.
When we come together, we remember always the very first freedom that we were granted as a miracle as we crossed through the Red Sea into a place of openness and expansiveness. We think of that especially on this Shabbat.
We're going to do our setting of Micha Mocha that we did with Alana Arian last week. Not quite the amazing guitarist that she is, so do excuse that, but it is such a beautiful setting. Who is like you, Adonai? Who is like you, Adonai? Yadai dai 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 yadai dai 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 yadai dai 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 yadai dai 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 mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai mi kamocha nedar b'kodesh nora tehilot osefele nora tehilot osefele who is like you Adonai who is like you Yadai dai 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 yadai dai 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 yadai dai 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 yadai dai 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 yadai dai 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 dai.
Amazing how dark it's become outside, how early these days and how we feel the change of seasons here, even though it isn't quite as dramatic as Rabbi Avi's description in Milwaukee. We still find a few beautiful orange and red leaves here and there around the Bay Area and appreciate coming into a time of cozy evenings and lots of hot chocolate. So as we prepare ourselves to be fully in evening, we thank you, God, for spreading over us a sukkah of shalom, a sukkah of peace as we come into nighttime and rest time.
השכיבנו אדוני אלוהינו לשלום, לשלום, והעמידנו שומרנו לחיים. ופרוס עלינו סוכת שלומך, ופרוס עלינו סוכת שלומך. Shelter us beneath your wings, O Adonai. Guard us from all harmful things, O Adonai. Keep us safe throughout the night, till we wake with morning's light. Teach us daily wrong from right, O Adonai. Amen. 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 Amen.
We now invite you to join us in rising physically or spiritually, however you are able, for the center point of our service, the Amidah, the standing prayer, beginning with Adonai Sefatai Tiftach. We ask God to open our lips so that we may declare God's praise and say the prayers we need to say.
Yadai-dai-dai-dai, 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 yadai-dai-dai-dai. Adonai, Sefatai Tiftach, Ufi Yagir Tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise. Yadai-dai-dai-dai, 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 yadai-dai-dai-dai. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu ve'Elohei avotenu ve'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak ve'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel ve'Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor ve'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim ve'Konei Hakol, וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה. מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם בעזרת שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיי הכל אתה רב להושיע. משיב הרוח ומוריד הגשם, מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיה הכל ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר. מי כמוך בעל גבורות, ומי דומה לך, מלך ממית ומחיה, ומצמיח ישועה, ונאמן אתה להחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני, מחיה הכל. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יהללוך סלע. ברוך אתה אדוני, האל הקדוש.
We now take a few moments to pray whatever words we need to pray this evening, words that we might find in a prayer book or words that we find in our own hearts. And we will come out of our moment of silent prayer together with song.
Shalom במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו, ועל כל ישראל ואמרו עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו, ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן. עושה שלום הוא יעשה שלום עלינו, ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו, ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו, ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן.
Shabbat Shalom, everybody. So first of all, can you hear me okay? Yes, okay, great. I know we have some internet issues in this house, and if you can't, please let me know, but we're good. Before I begin with a few words of Torah, I just want to acknowledge everybody who was thrilled to have the Ve'ahavta back. I didn't know that there was such loyalty in this community, but it's all good, and we're delighted, all of us, to have the Ve'ahavta in our service. So thank you for putting those comments in the chat. So I know that we all hoped that we would have an answer to this incredible question posed on Tuesday: who will be our president for the next 4 years and our vice president. And unfortunately, we wait, and we wait as every vote is taken into account in a very important way. I was struck by Thomas Friedman's article, which was printed Wednesday morning in the New York Times. I mentioned it in my missive this morning, and I hope that people had a chance to read it either through that link or maybe even in paper, which is of course my preference. I think it's a very important article. If you haven't yet, hopefully you can go back and take a look at it. The article was entitled, "There Was a Loser Last Night, It Was America." For the last many years, particularly the last 4, the polarization of America has not been met by that which is at the foundation of Jewish and American culture, namely civil discourse and the honoring of debate and respectful disagreement. As I mentioned to Senator Wiener in our conversation from the front lines on Wednesday evening, the Jewish concept of machloket l'shem shamayim is central, a debate for the sake of heaven, not just for disagreement, but for the sake of heaven, for the improvement of our society. It's a concept central to the Talmud and to American discussion. And it was seen often in the work by a woman who became one of our heroes, Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg, as she became famous for insisting, "I dissent." She also was famous for disagreeing with her colleague, Justice Scalia. They disagreed vehemently and yet respected each other completely. Dissent, debate, discussion, the sharing of different ideas, these are all good. Instead of disagreement bringing us to our best conclusion in these last few years, though, it has resulted in an effort at retaliation. And I think Friedman boldly argues a truth that we must all address. In fact, I see it with my 4- and 6-year-olds as I rewalk the path that led to the injury that finally got reported to me on any given day. I always discover a long list of insults and retaliations. So too has it been in our society. Not just one insult with a retaliation, but a long, long list. In the article, Thomas Friedman wrote, quote, "Trump voters not only feel looked down upon, but they also resent what they see as cultural censorship from liberal elites coming out of college campuses." Friedman goes on to quote Rich Lowry, the editor of the National Review, from an October 26 essay that Lowry wrote. "Trump is, for better or worse, the foremost symbol of resistance to the overwhelming woke cultural tide that has swept along the media, academia, corporate America, Hollywood, professional sports, the big foundations, and almost everything in between," Lowry claims. To put it in blunt terms, he continued, for many people, he's the only middle finger available to brandish against the people who've assumed they have the whip hand in American culture. This may not be a very good reason to vote for a president, but it seems that's what's happening. Whether you agree or disagree with Lowry and with Friedman in the article, what's been happening over these last 4 days and 4 years is something certainly that we must take a look at. This election and these last 4 years have given us an unprecedented opportunity to look in the mirror. These last 4 years have reflected our society, and we clearly see our own shadows lurking. Rabbi Roli Madelon from B'nai Jeshurun in New York wrote a Devar Torah that I read today that focused on a Jewish mystical concept. He wrote about Yerida L'Tzorech Aliyah, which means Dissent for the sake of assent. Dissent for the sake of assent. He wrote, by descending to a dark place in our souls, we are exposed to our own shadows, our demons, and our weaknesses. We learn who we truly are and what is the work we must do in order to grow. Only then can we ascend. Once again, it seems this week's Torah portion provides a beautiful context in which to question our own world. At the beginning of Parshat Vayera, Abraham is sitting in the doorway of his tent, cooling off from the hot desert sun. When he lifts his eyes, Vayisa einav vayar, behold, there were 3 anashim standing there. 3 humans, maybe 3 men, or not humans, maybe angels in the form of humans. Throughout this Torah portion, there are angels, humans, and even one animal, the famous ram of the Akedah, that cause our ancestors to pause and look up, to take stock, and to really reflect on their own behavior. But these visitors also spotlight pivotal moments in time, moments of real change and critical reflection. As we find ourselves in what certainly feels like a moment of real change and critical reflection, I find myself thinking about who those angels in many forms might be today. Who are the people asking us to pause, or maybe just asking us to be kind? Who are the people who might be part of a big change, of a big new beginning on our country's journey? Thomas Friedman ended his article on Wednesday with these words, quote, I am certain the better angels of our nature are still out there, he wrote, but our politics and our political system right now are not inspiring them to emerge at the scale and speed that we so desperately need. I'm not so sure about that last part that Friedman wrote. I think there are anashim, people all around, who bring us a sacred message of new hope and next steps at this pivotal moment in time. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. Thank you for sharing those inspiring words with us. We now take a moment to think of those in our community who are in need of healing, healing of mind, body, or spirit, perhaps also of our kindness. We think in particular this evening of Shoshana Chana Asher, Dr. Elliot Eisenberg, William Kurian, Carolyn Stellman, and Keshet Malka. And to those names, we add all the names that you add in the chat this evening. We wish speedy healing to all those in our community who are in need as we join together in Misha Be'erach.
Sheberach avotenu mekor habracha imotenu. May the source of strength, who blessed the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. Yisheberach imotenu mekor habracha lavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shalema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen.
We now invite you to rise once more, to join us in praising God and in reminding ourselves of our own obligations to create the kingdom of heaven here on earth among us with the Aleinu.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גלולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד.
When we come together, we have the opportunity to celebrate one another's joys, one another's simchas, joyous occasions, pardon me. We've already celebrated one this evening. We've celebrated Lindsay's birthday, and of course, we will celebrate another set of birthdays at the end of the service. I'll leave you in suspense as to whose. But if you are experiencing a simcha at this time, please feel free to share that with us in the chat. And of course, perhaps the greatest simcha that we can all share at this time is the knowledge that our congregation really did an extraordinary amount of work to advance democracy and to promote voting in this election. And I want to particularly call out the efforts of Steve Garber this evening, who spearheaded our program of sending postcards to voters to encourage folks to vote. He is among many dedicated members of Congregation Shereth Israel who put a tremendous amount of work into supporting the mechanisms of this election and ensuring that our democracy remains as strong as it can. So thank you so much to you, Steve, to David Newman, to everybody who's worked on these projects. And in honor of, oh, and Adrian's birthday was on election day. My goodness, what a crazy birthday to have. So in honor of all of these simchas, we join together in the Shehechianu.
ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, שהחיינו וקיימנו והגיענו לזמן הזה. אמן.
Amen. Of course, the flip side of sharing our joys, our simchas with one another is that we also come together as a community to share our sorrows. So at this time, our thoughts turn to those who have departed this earth, our loved ones, those whom our friends and neighbors have lost, the martyrs of our people whose graves are unmarked, and those of every race and every nation who have been a blessing to humanity. This evening, we remember for Shloshim, the first 30 days of mourning, Laura Amster, Marion Goldine, Moshe Lieb King, and Lenore Levin. The perpetual memorials in our community are Judith M. Escalante Melvin and Art Rosenberg. We also observe the following yahrzeits, anniversaries of death this evening. We remember Robert C. Abrams, Matthew Auerbach, Baron Edmund de Rothschild, Rose Levine Eisenberg, Paul Epp, Philip Felper, Bernard Friedman, Miriam Greenwald, Mildred Kluger, Bernd Kolker, Tracy Lurie, Juliette Maloney, Max Morgenstern, Gertrude Neuberger, Jane Falk Oppenheimer, Helen Phillips, Chaya Rivka Rubenstein, Clara Sladnick, Edward Waldman, and Rabbi Jacob Weinstein. And to those names, we add all the names that you are sharing in the chat and that we carry in our hearts. I invite you to please join me in the words of the Mourner's Kaddish. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shmei Rabbah, Bialma divrach chirute v'yamlich malchute, B'chayechon uvyomechon, uvchaye dechol Beit Yisrael, Ba'agala uvizman kariv v'imru, Amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevarach le'olam u'almei almaya, Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yithadar v'yit'aleh v'yithalal, shmei d'kudsha brichu, Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechamata, ta'amiran be'alma v'imru, Amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shmaya, v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru, Amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al kol yoshvei tevel v'imru, Amen. May the one who creates peace on high bring peace to us and to all Israel. And together we say, Amen. Before we conclude our service with Kiddush and Motzi and song, we have the opportunity to take a moment to share announcements. So Executive Director Gordon Gladstone, do you have any announcements to share this evening?
Well, I would hate to steal the thunder from Rabbi Graf, who I know is dying to remind everybody about our next From the Frontline series, which is coming up. Oh, when is it, Rabbi? Help me remember.
It is Monday, November 16th at 5 p.m.
And who's coming? Tell us.
I'm very excited to tell you. Dr. Jeremy Rasson, who is an epidemiologist and a brilliant mind. He's a computer guy and a public health guy who is based in New York now. He grew up at Congregation Shereth Israel, and probably the best thing about my going to Hebrew school 3 days a week, that's what it was back in the day, was that I got to sit next to Jeremy and become closest of buddies with him long before he was ever a famous guy on the East Coast. And we've remained incredibly close friends, and I'm delighted that he's going to be back at Shereth Israel with us. His sister Alyssa also grew up at Shereth Israel in my sister's class. Some of you may know Alyssa, and Amy and Josh Rasson, who have moved to Sonoma, are no longer members, but were very much involved in the congregation for years. So we're very excited to welcome him back. He will be in conversation with Jonathan Graf, who you've all gotten to know. I don't really have much of a clue what either one of them will be talking about when it comes to the science of all of this, but hopefully they'll explain it in a way that we can understand. And they're going to be discussing what they see on the horizon with vaccines, with vaccine trials, and with data coming out of the CDC. So I can tell you that there's no surprise announcement that's going to be made via Congregation Shereth Israel about a vaccine, but we can look at the information that's available out there and have a couple of medical experts help us understand. So please join us on Monday, November 16th at 5 p.m. Looking forward to that. And
I think we're doing Torah study tomorrow. Is that right?
We
I
certainly
think so.
are. As we do every week, we will have Torah study tomorrow for Parshat Vayera. So please come join me for that if you can. Also, by the way, if you have contemplated for some time checking out the adult Talmud class on Thursday evenings, we welcome newcomers at all times. So please come if you've been Talmud curious, come check it out, and we'll be happy to study a little with you. No prior knowledge of Talmud is needed. But yes, we'll have Torah study tomorrow, and of course also studio on Sunday. So we hope to see many folks in the next couple of days. Anything else anyone needs to announce?
Tot Shabbat next Friday, 5 o'clock.
Yes, that is important. If you are a little one or the parent of a little one, please join us for Tot Shabbat next Friday. You said 5 o'clock.
Grandparent, aunt, uncle, neighbor, landlord, hairdresser of a little one.
Sponsoring adult of a little one. Please come and bring the little one with you. We will be very happy to see you.
25 minutes of music and song and Shabbat blessings. It's totally fun. Or if you just happen to own some dinosaur paraphernalia, a t-shirt, a stuffy, whatever. Bring it along and sign on at 5 o'clock.
Well, speaking of little ones and parents of little ones, we are thrilled to have with us this evening the Lurie family. They relatively recently, in fact, just about a year ago, added one little boy to their family, Toby. Toby, hello! Toby turns 1 in just a few days on Tuesday, I believe. And also Ben Lurie turns, 4 on Sunday, I believe. And we are so thrilled to, and of course, Seth is also there and we love you too. It's just not your birthday at this particular moment, but we're so thrilled to see all of you. And oh my goodness, look at Toby. We got to go see that kid in person. But we understand that you have a Kiddush cup you might be able to show us. And please feel free to unmute yourself and say hello for a moment.
I just want to add a little bit by way of introduction to old
Hello,
and
Toby.
wonderful. Hi guys. Aaron and Stephen and their family, we're thrilled to have you at Congregation Sarah Israel. And some of you may have met Dr. Erin Gordon, who was one of our first speakers on From the Frontlines COVID series. She's a pulmonologist at UCSF and working very, very hard to keep us all safe, literally on the front lines. And I want to say that for the Gordon Lurie family, Rabbi Abby, you just read a name on the yahrzeit list. I know that this is a weekend which is really very painful and also really beautiful as you celebrate birthdays, and particularly at this time as we celebrate Seth's really good health in November. And so in honor of all of these parts of life that tangle together and make us a community of friends and people who love each other, we're so happy to have you.
Hi, Toby.
Gordon, we need to unmute Stephen and company and all those redheads over there.
Ooh, and a puppy as well.
Gordon, can you?
You've done it twice now, and perhaps they are.
Let's see. Stephen, you might need to unmute yourself. Let's see. Can we do it?
There we go.
I'm unmuted, but I thought you wanted to mute me.
No. Quite the reverse.
No, please. Oh, you're muted again. No, we just want you to share hello with us. Please feel free.
Oh, I thought we did that already. Hello. Say hello, Toby. Say hello, Seth.
Hi.
Hi, Seth.
Say hello.
And you
You
guys have a
can't
Kiddush
speak.
cup there with you?
Fine. What?
Do you have a Kiddush cup there with you
What?
as well that you could hold up?
Yes. It's good
Wonderful.
Shabbat because these boys need to eat a little earlier. So Shabbat.
You got a lot of little boys in
This is,
that. Let that on. Go ahead.
Shabbat cup, Kiddush cup from my sister's wedding. My older sister who died today, November 6, 2008.
Oh,
So,
wow.
and
Well,
it's my other sister's birthday, November 6th, coincidentally. And his birthday, November 10th, and his birthday, November 8th. Ben, say hi, okay?
No. Ah!
All right.
oh, that was amazing.
Thanks, everybody.
Well, thank you for sharing with us. The cycle of life is an extraordinary thing, and it's wonderful that you can bring your sister into our Shabbat this evening through your Kiddush cup and through your participation in the service. Thank you so much for giving us a chance to say hello and see all of the beautiful boys in your family. Cantor Glaser, if you would please lead us in Kiddush.
Yes, amen, amen. So wonderful to see you all this evening. Let's make Kiddush. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu, v'shabbat kodsho be'ahava uvradzon hinchilanu, zikaron lema'aseh v'reishit. כי הוא יום תחילה למקראי קודש, זכר ליציאת מצרים. כי בנו בחרת, ואותנו קידשת מכל העמים, ושבת קודשך באהבה וברצון. הנחלתנו. ברוך אתה אדוני מקדש HaShabbat. Amen. L'chaim.
L'chaim. And now, if you happen to be the owner of a beautiful or even a not so beautiful challah out there in the world, please raise it up so that we can all see one another's chalot. I can see Shira and Bill's certainly. I will confess, through the happenstance of Zoom, there are probably beautiful chalot I'm missing, but there's Nancy's beautiful challah, which is always one of the shiniest chalot we ever get to see. So, and the Luri's of a challah as well. So we invite you to hold up your challah as we join together in the motzi.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz b'te'avon.
B'te'avon, enjoy your chalot. And we conclude our service this evening with music. So please join us in singing this beautiful Negoon, one that we often begin and end our services with. It's called Lincoln's Negoon for a number of reasons, including that it recalls a certain kind of moment in American history and weaves the feeling of that moment into a Jewish experience as well. So it's a particularly lovely thing for us to get to end our services with.
Weisenberg actually wrote this, imagining Lincoln kind of triumphant and singing this tune. It's got kind of bluegrass elements and definitely feels like Americana. So hopefully on to triumphant days. Die, 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 die. Ya, die, 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 die. Ya, die, 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 die. Ya, die, 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 die. Ya da 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 da, ya da 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 da, ya da 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 da, ya da 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 da, ya da 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 da, ya da 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 da, ya da da, ya da 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 da, ya da 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 da, ya da 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 da, ya da da. One more time. Ya da 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 da. Ya da 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 da. Ya da 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 da. Ya da 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 da. Ya da 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 da. Ya da 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 da. Ya da 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 da. Da 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 da. Ya da 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 da. Ya da 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 da. Ya da da ya da 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 ya da 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 ya da 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 ya da da ya da 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 ya da da da. Shabbat shalom.
Everybody.
Shabbat shalom.